So just a little update to let you know what I'm doing. No machining in this video, it's just for you, Steve. There's some snowy updates. I've put I think 3 or 4 different updates on there, and later into the video there's a section where I show how I modified my quick change tool post to fit on my lathe, and that's all self-explanatory when you see it. As for the snowy updates, this video, I think it goes up to 24th or 27th of January, but we've had a bit more since then, and we've got a bit more coming. Now, in Steve's video he says he thinks I've had about 4 foot of snow. We've actually had, in the 150 years of snow records here in Manitoba, not Canada itself, the province I live, we've had 156 centimetres of snow so far, which is quite a lot. 156 centimetres, 4.5 foot ish for the Imperial guys. My lathe tools are all done except for the adjusting bolts. These are for the grub screws. They're just a M8 thread that I'm putting on a bit of bar. I've got 2 more to make, but I ran out of bar stock and it's all in my garage, and right now it's minus 27 out there, and I just can't be bothered to go around and look for it. A nasty one last night, I think it was minus 37, with a wind chill of minus 46, so it's been pretty cold. Right now what I'm working on is this old grinder that I got. It's a skill grinder, 3,450 RPM, and this is the Scotch Brite wheel my daughter got me for Christmas. But as you can see, it fits there, but when I put the sleeve on, it doesn't. So I'm just figuring out an adapter, bit of an inset, because it's going to need a thread. I'm going to have to make a bolt with an internal thread to go on the inside here, because this is 20 mil. This is 20 mil, but the bar itself is 1/2 inch. So I'm just working out what I'm going to do to adapt that. I've got some new wires for it, new cable and plug, which is here. I think I stole it off an old microwave or something, and I'm going to rub it all down and paint it up. I'm not going to video that. I'm not into these restoration videos. You've seen something wire brushed and painted, you've seen everything done. So that's just what I'm working on, and what I've been working on as well is my new printer. I'll show you that. So there she is. And it's a G-Tech A10. And as you can see, it's got 3 filament extruders on it. It's only got a single nozzle extruder. There's a little glimpse at things. I made a fan cover for it to keep all the crap out. Here's a couple of gears I've made. There's a 20 tooth and a 21 tooth. And this here, it's still got the supports and everything on it. If you watch Alan on Enoch's Engineering, he makes a threading dial indicator for the lathe, because my lathe didn't come with one. Now he makes it for the Boxford lathe, which has a 3mm lead screw, and my lathe has a 3mm lead screw, and it's a good video. So I went and downloaded his STL files and I 3D printed them just in the blue, because, well, it matches my lathe and my mill. And this here, I downloaded an STL file from Thingiverse. This is a lathe tool holder that hangs on the back of the lathe. Now the one I downloaded was too narrow across here, so I went and designed my own in Fusion and printed it, but yeah, I wasn't too happy, so I've redesigned that. It's a very good printer, really very good printer. I'm very happy with it. And like I say, I can have 3 different colours. I can mix them. I haven't played with the mixing program yet, but I will do. I've been playing on Fusion and I've redesigned this tool holder. And the next video I'm going to make is going to be, you know, the guys are doing shows you shop. I'm going to show you my lathe and tell you about my lathe and how it works, basically, what kind of lathe it is. Because I've had a few guys email me saying, where'd you get it from and all of this. Well, I'll tell you all that. But yeah, that's the G-Tech A10T. It's a damn good printer. I'm well pleased with it. Right now I am looking online because I want one of those little CNC machines. I think if you watch Aid Swash, he's got one of them, the 3018 machines, but I'm looking at a couple of others. I'm even thinking about building, you know, a CNC router machine, because I've got plenty of material and I'm not too keen with the size of the ones that you can buy online, you know, $250, and you know, you can buy all the components, and if you've got the materials you can build a bigger, better, more stable one, basically. Anyway, so that's what I'm up to. The next video will be about my lathe and what I've got with it and how it works, and I'll also show you the tool holders that I made, the finished designs. I think you'll be quite impressed, and I'll let you know a bit more about that when I do the video. Anyway, that's it. It's another cold one here in Canada. The snow's still falling out the sky every few days or so, but the beard's still growing, and this will keep coming as long as it's cold out there. And once the snow and everything starts to go, then the beard will come off. Anyway, that's all. Oh, and I have donated to Cliff's shed. Sorry to hear about your loss, Cliff, but we're all behind you. Take care, everybody. Got some early morning visitors. Bloody windows need cleaning. See, that out there is deer corn. And then over there we throw all the vegetable peels, the turkey skins and cabbage and broccoli and whatever other, carrots. The rabbits eat most of the carrot peel. But, you know, there's nothing for them. And most people do it around here, you know. It's about 20 bucks or so for a 25 kilo bag of deer corn. You get different kinds. That one's kind of like a mix of different grains. But they spook very easily. This appears to be a mother with 2 of last year's young fawns. I'll see if I can get you some pictures, because normally about this time of year the pregnant mothers will run around with the little baby ones, little Bambis. They're really neat to look at. I might get some come in the garden. But all they do is just wander around from property to property. They kind of get to know where the corn is that people put out for them. And of course, I've got a gun license. Go out and get myself a couple of venison steaks. Anyway, thought that might interest you. My back garden. See if I can get some bear footage in the spring when they come out. Now that the deer have gone, I can get on with my breakfast. Some nice pancakes with fresh cream and some blueberry syrup. Fantastic. That'll get you going on a Saturday morning. You can see the patio chairs slowly disappearing. It's getting higher on the table. Yeah, we're going to get some more tonight. I reckon that was 5 centimetres last night. I think it was a bit more. But I reckon another 10 centimetres tonight. Bloody stuff. The more you get, the longer it takes to disappear. Oh well, such is life. This is the day after the snowstorm. And here's my neighbour. It's 9 o'clock in the morning nearly. And he's clearing the drive. Wouldn't like to bloody shovel that lot. Snowing and windy. We've got blizzard conditions. It's only about -14 today. As you can see, this is what was cleaned the other day by my neighbour. They've closed the highway around Winnipeg. Because although you can't really tell here, this is blowing off the roof. So you can imagine what it's like, and I'm protected by trees, so you can imagine what it's like out on the highways. I might go out later and take some video of the, it's what you call real blizzard conditions. I got my camera because there was about 20 birds fighting over the bird feeder. And now they've all disappeared. And you see that hole down there? There's a squirrel burrowed in there. And I think he's got his little home in there for the winter. Because every time I look after snow, you see the tracks. The tracks come out and he runs across. And he gets all the bird seed that the birds drop down below. but about 10 minutes ago there was 5 birds on the feeder and there was a squirrel sat on the railing of the stairs there. It's quite funny to watch. But right now we've got the wind blowing from the south, which warms it up. And this afternoon it's going to turn and start blowing from the north, which will cool it down again. I think we're still dropping to minus 30, 31s over the next few days. Feels like minus 42, 43 with the wind. Hello, cat. That's the cat we adopted that was outside. She's quite at home now, and your cat. She likes to sit up here and watch the birds. Okay, so this is the tool post that came with my lathe, and I just want to show you how the Chinese can totally destroy a perfectly serviceable piece of steel block. As you can see, this is pretty rough. And this here is the T-bolt that came with it, and it's a 10mm bolt, and as you can see it's sloppy as hell. And this here is my top slide. So as you can see, this is where the little spring plunger goes, and on this they cut out and drilled 4 little recesses for it to locate at each 90-degree angle, which is absolutely terrible. Look at the quality in the machine in here. Looks like it's been done with a grinder. And all the holes, you can see, and all the holes here, they're covered in burrs. No attempt to deburr it. It's just, it's just really, really terrible. Anyway. And this is the tool post that I bought from my lathe, quick change tool post. And this has got a 13.5mm bolt through it, which would not go through here. It just wouldn't fit. So, for me to use this tool post, I had to adapt. So what I did was, I turned down the end of the bolt and put an M10 thread on it. So this is 13.5mm, and I put an M10 thread on it. And put an M10 bolt nut on the end, and I turned it down so that it would fit. Now the problem is, the recess for the T-bolt. And I can show you the T-bolt that came with this, and that's it. And you see it's really, really bad. It's just totally not thought out. want to show you is the problem that I had to overcome. I'm just going to turn you around. Right, so I apologise about the angle and everything, but this is a cross section of the actual top slide or the compound. It's not to scale or anything apart from these measurements. So as you can see, it's a 15mm piece of material, and where they put the recess in for the tool post is 5.4mm, and the recess for the T-nut is 3.3mm, and that only leaves 6.3mm of material in the middle. You can see I've done the measurements here. So what I had to do was make a T-nut to fit in the bottom here that was going to be 3.3mm. Now I know it's not a lot of material to be threaded, but so far that's what I've done. And what I did is I put it on my top slide, and then I put my digital caliper through because I don't have any depth gauges, and I measured to see how much I could come down before I would interfere with the top slide on which this slides across. So there you can see, of the 15mm, the stupid Chinese have milled away all of this and this recess for the T-nut, and there's only 6.3mm of material remaining in the middle here. Now I'll take you back and show you what I mean and what I had to do. So this recess is 3.3mm, which is not a lot. When you tighten the tool post up, you know, you could get quite a bit of flex in here, pulling up on the tool. Now it does have an indent, a little pocket here for obviously a spring activated locator, but it's 90 degrees out, it's 180 degrees out from the one on the top slide, so I can't use that, but that doesn't matter anyway. The problem is this here is not perfectly machined, and I wanted to put something in there that would fill that void totally, so that when I pulled up on the tool post and I tightened it, it was pulling all the material and it wasn't just pulling on a little portion of it, which could cause leverage, because I didn't want to bust this out when I tightened the tool post. Now in an ideal world I would probably fill this with brazing rod, and again on the other side I'd fill it with brazing rod if I had the capabilities, which I don't, and then I would just drill and tap it all the way through so that the whole lot of it was giving support for the threaded bolt that holds the tool post on. Now I have, the thing about this here is it's in two parts, don't know if you can see, but right here is a join. So my plan, and all that is on top of there, I mean, all it's got is 2 gib adjusters and a lock, which is not a lot. The actual gib strip in here is about 4 inches long. And the actual, well, you can see, the actual top slide is 6.5 inches long. But I'll address that when I need to. What I needed to do was make a T-nut to fit this shape. So what I've got is I've got one of these, and this is one of them 3D pens with some PLA filament, and it heats up quite good, and it's quite handy if you've never seen these. So I filled this hole here with filament, and I put a piece of backing material inside so it wouldn't go through, and I filled it with the filament from this gun, and then I used my little heat torch here and I melted the filament in to make this plug here, and that actually fit in there. And when it was all dry, I knocked it out. And I wasn't worried about this part. All I wanted was this correct dimension. I then took a piece of flat bar. This is about 7mm with the paint on it. And I cut this out and I milled it as best I could. And as you can see, the hole is not quite on centre, which is why I made this plug, so I could get the dimensions. And I then just put them in my vise and I filed it all. I then tapped it with an M10 thread. And this is now, let's get my brass through, this is now a nice snug fit in the bottom of my slide here. And the hole's on centre and everything. And it butts up to the bottom inside. So now I know I'm grabbing all of this surface area when I tighten up my tool post on the top. Now the other thing is there was going to be leverage in here. Now I plan to make a plug to go in here, but just to get me going with my tool post, I got these washers, and they're perfect. They line up perfectly with the top, and I turned them down and drilled them out. So that the bolt off my tool post fits in there, and I can tighten it up. I put some pliers on it and I can tighten it up. Now in the spring when it warms up, because this bolt will actually come to the bottom when I tighten it up, so I'm gripping on all the thread, and this plate is now 4.7mm thick. 3.7mm thick, which is, well, 0.4 of a millimetre more than what had before, so nearly 1/2 millimetre. And what I intend to do is weld that in there in the spring once I can go into my shop. It's too cold right now. Just knock this down. And that is a very good fit in here. And it does the job. And it allows me to use the quick change tool post holder that I bought with the lathe. Now I have got this piece of bar. This is a piece of big lump of flat bar. Which is more than enough material to make a new top slide, and that's what I plan to do in the spring or the summer, or when I get round to it, and just make a whole new piece. Because when this comes apart, there's just 2 bolts in the end, one here and one here, and a couple of oilers, and as you can see, that was just remove this end section with the handle away from this material. Now I can cut this bar and make a copy of this piece of material here, which will be a lot of milling because it's about 1/2 inch thicker. Maybe it's a bit more, but that's what I plan to do. Anyway, I just thought I'd show you. This did actually come with a big plate on the bottom, as a big plate on the bottom with as a T-piece. Came with this, which I can't use. It's not needed. But with my 2 washers in here for now, and I will make a dedicated block for that, and then I will drill this out to accommodate this bolt, and I will weld the bolt to the T-nut so that it slides right through. Anyway, but with these 2 washers on and the T-nut in there, it means that I'm able to use the tool post. But anyway, if anyone ever comes across it, that's what I had to do. Just make a new, basically it's a T-nut, but it's not a T yet because it's not welded. But I think you'll agree, it's a lot better than the piece of crap they sent with the lathe that wouldn't even, you know. Cheap Chinese shit, that's all I can say. Anyway, that's what I did. And I'm getting on with my tool holders. I got the 16mm grub screws for it. These are M8 by 1.25. But the adjusting bolts haven't turned up, so I'm currently making them. They're a bit long at the minute, but I want to get them all set up before I decide to shorten them. And all I've done with them is just put a little screwdriver head in the top there. And what I'm going to be making now is the little thumb screws that go in the top of the tool holders. This here I'm going to be making these out of this piece of bar here. So I'll be using my knurling tool again. That'll be fun. And I'll be drilling and tapping down the centre for an M8. And they'll go on here. So I'll be able to adjust the height of the tool when it's in the tool post. Anyway, I just thought I'd show you that. How I adapted this top slide to be able to take the quick change tool post holder that I bought. Thanks for watching. Thought I'd give you a look out. It's Monday afternoon, 4 o'clock, 24th of January. As you can see, the patio chair nearly disappeared. Nice sunny day. It's about -24. As you can see, a lot of snow to be melted in spring. Oh dear. Gotta love it. Just hope we don't get any more. It's still going to be here in May, this lot. Just thought I'd give you a look out. Lovely Canadian weather.